Hello. We are on the ground because I am filming this off of my computer, and I decided to learn an instrument for my final project, which is a very dusty old bass guitar that was sitting around my dad's office for years, and I decided to take to school with me and haven't touched for about a year. So this is my motivation to learn and do it. And so far it's been a bit of a struggle, not gonna lie. My hands need to toughen up a little bit so I can actually switch notes without making these like awful vibraty scratchy noises, which you will hear in a minute. But in the meantime, I have been trying to do some work on just understanding the anatomy of my guitar and the equipment that was given to me by my father, which should also be noted. A lot of it is from several decades ago, which is no big deal, but I know technology is not a friend of time. Anyways, here we go. Everything works just fine, but at first I'll start with a tour of my guitar. Starting in the neck, we'll go up to the headstock up here. And the headstock consists of tuners, which are attached to these gears in the back that kind of crank these pins that are attached to the strings, and it determines how to like tighten or loosen them based on how sharp or flat the notes sound when you're, I guess, tuning your guitar. And then you move down and you have the strings aligned with the nut. Mine is made of plastic, but apparently they can get pretty fancy. And then you have these little metal brackets that run perpendicularly down the neck, and these are all the frets. And what these do, you place your fingers on them, and it determines the pitch of the note of the chord that's on the string. Not the note of the chord, well, you know what I mean. Anywho's, so you go down to the body, and you have that over here. You have the controls, and then those determine like the bass and treble and volume, or the treble and volume that goes into your amplifier. And then the name for these boards is escaping me at the moment, but what they do, you can't really see them, yeah, these little boards right there. What they do is, they use magnets to somehow electrically translate the sounds and the vibrations coming from the strings into your amplifier. Which brings me to my next guest. Oh, I actually didn't finish this. The strings are actually held in place by the brace down here as well. And then here's just like the jack for your amp, or tuning box, which I'll get to in a minute. And then the straps, the strap pins are broken off of this guitar, so that's, can't even point them out. Okay, so moving on. I have this cool little box that my dad gave me, and it seems to work pretty well. I'd like to think it works because that's kind of what I'm basing everything off of, but I think I just messed up my one. That's fine. Okay, so I plug this into the other end of this jack instead of an amplifier, and then I can just run and turn it on, and then I'll sit, and then it'll blink and say what note I'm playing and if it's in tune. So I'm plucking the G chord. I should probably lift up my guitar while I do this. Okay, so face this down as let's balance it. So I pluck my G chord, or I guess thumb it. I'm not really plucking it, but there it is. It lights up G and it says in tune in the middle, and then if it's too sharp or too flat, one of these will light up, and I must tighten to make it less flat and sharpen it, or not sharpen, but loosen it to make it less sharp. And then it'll tell me if it's in tune again. And then when my ear gets better at hearing the sounds, then I will be able to do it on my own, hopefully one day. But for the time being, for learning purposes, here we are. So brings me on to my next handy dandy friend. Is this little bite-sized amplifier, and this is the equipment that I was referring to earlier, that I do believe was purchased in the late 80s, early 90s. I don't know, she's not that old yet, but she pops sometimes and makes some angry noises, so we'll see if she works. I've been practicing mostly not plugged into it because I have 4 roommates, and I'm still just learning fingering and stuff like that. So, another fun, important basic foundation of the bass guitar are the root notes. So I guess when the rhythm guitar tells you what note the preceding chord is going to be in, you have to play the corresponding root note, which I also learned does not always line up with the note like you want to play. It's not necessarily always on that string. Like if they say in G chord, the root note for that is the 3rd fret of E, which is pretty crazy to me. I would think it would be on the G chord, but it's not. So I don't know if you can hear it. I'm plugging it. We'll plug it into the amp. I'm running over on time. Oh no. Oh no. I'll keep it short. Yeah, that's not gonna quite work right now. Still working out the kinks with this bad boy. But yeah, so I can do maybe switch it down to there's the buzzing. You can't really see my hands, but like, yeah, my fingering technique needs some work. I don't know if you could hear me playing it or see me playing it. I'll just hold it up. I was doing the plucking the. And then the transferring back and forth needs like a ton of work. But I'm working on it, so there I am.